why are they even capable of such
The
crazy
breath,
profound things?
the
The
breath,
breath.
prana,
Yeah.
baby, right?
The
Shout out Wim
prana.
Hof. Shout out
And
Wim Hof. Wim Hof is on one.
Wim
He's like a
Hof's on.
superhuman, right? They don't understand how he can go in the ice water for hours and swim under glaciers and meditate with his shirt off in the Arctic Circle. Like, it's almost inexplainable, but it comes
Climb Mount Everest
on day.
barefoot.
Climb Mount Everest barefoot. Do a
No
marathon in the desert barefoot, half marathon in the desert barefoot with no water.
shot, bro. I think it was a marathon, bro.
Was it a marathon? He did a half marathon in the Arctic barefoot with no
He did
with
a marathon in the desert, no water, bro.
yeah. All
Didn't
right.
even sweat. He
Fucking
controlled his
crazy.
body temperature.
He's a
Didn't
specimen.
sweat. Controlled his body temperature the whole time,
He's
bro.
a specimen. And he talks about
But we
prana, right? And prana is that life force energy, the vital energy that flows through everything. And it's got some other names in every sort of spiritual practice, religion, etc. They all have their own name for prana, right? In Chinese, it's qi, right? You hear qi gong and movement of energy, right? There's different types of movements that you do, meditative movements, and that's the vital energy. And then you hear kundalini energy pertaining to the chakras and the serpent snake that goes up through them, right? All that energy is just you channeling the ether and bringing that into your body, which is the life force in you, right? The only reason I'm alive is I'm breathing. Like, you just got to when you make it conscious, it helps bring awareness, self-awareness, right? Like, what's inside here? Like, you don't realize that when we've got such a fast-paced world of screens of, oh, I can go to the movies, I can go to the mall, let me buy this, let me watch that. All the stuff about yourself, any thoughts about yourself are just shoved to the subconscious mind, and that breath brings it up for you.
Yeah, that's the thing about today's world, right? You think meditating or being conscious of the breath is like a simpleton task, right? Like that's what people that don't understand it think, right? But then you ask those people to sit and be conscious with their breath, and they simply can't do it because they can't shut off their emotions. They simply can't be still. And then
They
get
just
off.
can't shut off like the TV or the
Yeah,
screens or anything. You just ask somebody if you're gonna sit in a room, even just having that background noise of the TV or just mindlessly scrolling or something, it's just impossible to even have that little bit of clarity. Just even going for a walk or something, or going for a run. What do people do? They listen to music. That even that, like people can't even work out without having just a little extra something. That's like what Tom used to talk about. He'd tell me, he'd say how music is like kind of false motivation in a way because you're not thinking about what you're doing. I didn't understand that until right now.
David
yeah, no,
Goggins is that too. David Goggins is like, I don't listen to no music when I'm working out. Like, it's just me and my mind. And like I listen to music when I work out for the most part, but like I understand that mentality at the same time. It's like that music is something helping you get through it when in reality he just wants it to be his mind having to break. He wants to break his mind.
yeah, because what the music allows for it, it's like a distraction, right? So it allows you might think it's pushing you that little more, like you pump. I don't be listening to heavy metal, but like some people be listening to metal, right? And they think that's what got them to do the extra rep. Like, nah, that's really just your mind. You just tuned out your mind with the music.
You're just putting a reliance on something else, right? It's the same thing with like addictive behavior. It's like, oh, I can't do this without this, but it's like you're able to do it no matter what.
You can do anything.
Like, you can do anything, exactly.
Quite literally do anything. That's what the soul is all about. Like when you realize, and I what's the word I'm looking for here? I not advise, but I strongly suggest that everyone sits for a little bit and just feels the soul, right? Because I don't know, anyone that watches this video, right? No, if you don't know anything about this, unless you practice it, you're just gonna think we're like bullshitting, right? You simply have to but like you laugh, but like that's the reality of it. Like if you're watching this for shits and giggles, like we're telling you what to do, but like until you do it, like you're not going to understand even like remotely like what we're talking about.
It's hard to understand any of this sort of stuff about energy and prana and chi without firsthand experience, because
it's the easiest thing to do, right?
it's the easiest thing to do
it's easier than breathing.
You literally have to do nothing other than put your conscious awareness in your breath, right? I want to go back to the breath and talk a little bit about breathing techniques, right? So through meditation, I know a lot of times when I'm meditating, every time when I'm meditating, I feel that breath come in, right? I feel the positive energy come in, and then I feel that negative energy come out of me, the carbon dioxide, the negative energy. I feel my body being replenished with every breath, right? And there's some
Now
ways.
wear a mask. Keep that carbon dioxide in there.
Yeah, keep all the carbon dioxide in there with the surgical mask on. But like there's a lot of ways to make
That's
the
OD
breath
dirty.
even more effective, right? I personally do the holotropic breathing. I haven't done a full holotropic breathing session. I don't think any
But
of
what
us.
is that? But what does that do for you, right? So the holotropic breath work, it's like really intense, sharp, quick breaths, right? It's almost like just really quick and sharp, right?
Yeah.
But what that does, it allows for
Not
release
shallow
of,
though, deep in the diaphragm.
you
You're taking it
have
all the
to
way in, you're exhaling everything else out.
Yeah, but what does that do? It's simple, like we all have DMT, right? That releases out of our pineal gland, but the holotropic breath work activates that. So even if some people get addicted to, like Corey was telling me this the other day, some people get addicted to like, maybe they're like, they do drugs and shit, they try to quit and they do meditation only to get like a high, right? But, or to trip out. But like the reason they do that is because like you quite literally like can trip out if you do it right,
You
right?
can get it's
So,
almost like a psychedelic high, I guess, that you
but
could
it's
get
all
just
natural.
from breathing, right? Your brain, the same way at night when you go into that dream world, right? You're going into the dream world. It's a psychedelic experience every single night. When you go into that dream world, but you can activate that dream world consciously through meditation and different breathing techniques. I'm just bringing up holotropic breathing, but there's circular breathing, box breathing, a whole load of different breathing techniques.
Movement and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Breathing. What is yoga, right? Like people talk about yoga, but like people don't even understand yoga isn't yoga without the breath.
Yeah, yoga is not just stretching. Yoga is the all-encompassing spirituality. That's why they're called yogis. When you look at them in Tibet and the Buddhists, like the yogis, they're just spiritual beings, right? They're trying to attain a high dimensional state. Like they're supposed to be higher beings, right? That's what they're trying to attain through the focus of their breath and their movement.
Yoga is I just looked this up real quick. Yoga is just derived from the Sanskrit root word yoj, meaning to join or to yoke or to unite, right? And then it says, as per yogic scriptures, that practice of yoga leads to the union of individual consciousness with that of universal consciousness, indicating a perfect harmony between the mind and the body, or man and nature, right? So you take the breath, right? And the breath allows you to do extraordinary things simply by maybe like if you're breathing, it allows you to stretch a little more in depth, because your body, you build up all the energy within your body and allows you to go a little deeper than if you were just trying to do it like naturally, if you were just like sore or something, you know what I'm saying? And as far as breath helping your health out, right? So we know Wim Hof is like a crazy guy, but he's constantly doing studies on how breathing and like conscious breath and like cold showers, ice baths, all that jazz can positively affect your health. And I got his book right here, the Wim Hof Method. But he speaks on how this lady, right? This lady had breast cancer. She had to go through 6 months of chemo, 6 weeks of I don't even know. What was I about to say?
I'm not sure. I know I know what you're going to bring up though is the cold water therapy, breathing techniques that.
Oh, I remember. But so she had to go through chemo. She had to go through a breast surgery, right? Remove her breast. But through the chemo, between sessions, right, she would do the Wim Hof breathing and the Wim Hof cold exposure, right? And she simply, after doing it for a couple of weeks or so, she went back to see her doctor, and the doctor was like amazed. He was like, "What happened to you? Like, this wasn't going well in any means, right? And you tripled your white blood cells in your body, right? And she tripled her white blood cells by the breath and by the cold exposure, right? And then ultimately that led her into remission, right? So I'm not saying the breath cures cancer, but it could potentially have a positive effect, right?
Just
So
a tremendous positive effect on health overall. Like he has the other study where he had the people come in and follow his techniques, and he was able to get the E. coli, I think it was dead E. coli, injected into his arm, and he was able to consciously rid his body of that when every
yeah,
other participant that hadn't followed his technique wasn't able to. I mean, that's loosely quoted. I mean, you can look it up on his website. I'm sure he has studies on like the actual facts about it. But just conscious breathing is, it allows you to do tremendous things with your body, with your mind, right? And I think the main thing that people look for is comfortability in everything, right? Like the reason you go on your phone and scroll through it is because you want to feel comfortable. You don't feel comfortable just sitting there staring at the wall. The reason people go and work out is because they don't feel comfortable with their body. The reason people go smoke pot and drink alcohol is because they don't feel comfortable in their own mind, right? And the breath
those
allows you to
just
just be
negatively.
comfortable all the time. When you're consciously breathing, like it's just you access a higher dimension of thinking and being, right?
Yeah, and that's we talk about consciousness like all the time, but the breath is what allows you to tap into those higher levels of consciousness, like, and raise your vibration. So like think about it in science aspect, because it's all science, right? The real science. I know Dr. Fauci science.
Not science, not the science.
He
Yeah, it's not even,
represents science.
it's science, right? Whatever, right? But so quite literally, by meditating or being conscious of the breath, you activate all the ATP that's in your body, right? And the ATP is what the ATP is. It is basically all the energy that's within your body, right? And by breathing, right, you raise the ATP in your body, or being conscious of the breath, rather. You raise all the ATP in your body, so you raise your energy, and then that energy vibrates, like we talked about. So you're raising your vibration, and then as you're raising your vibration, you're elevating your consciousness into the higher levels of, or the 5D of consciousness, the higher levels of emotion, right? When your body is vibrating really high, when you're conscious of your breath, you simply can't have those negative emotions like we've talked about. You simply can sit like the yogis, right? They obtained enlightenment within this lifetime, right? So like they literally just sit there all day, but like they're not just sitting there. That's what it looks like to me and you. They're flying through time space with their consciousness, projecting it outwards, living the best life, almost literally the best life any human could
Their
have.
body sits there. What we see is their body sitting there, but they're somewhere else.
And yeah, and think about this, right? So Tibet got taken over by China, right? And the yogis are slowly fading out. They almost don't. They had to move out of Tibet and come to like Western countries, different countries, to continue on their practice, right? Because it was a very secretive thing for a long time, but they're running out of yogis to continue on the practice. So they're now spreading the joy, spreading the knowledge of the breath, of the meditation, of all their secret wisdom, right?